Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me once again in our studio, Professor Okey Ikechukwu. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Once again to Luke's Terra studio. You are a philosopher, a public affairs analyst, a journalist, and right now I need to ask you, events of the last few weeks in our country making me wonder, do we still have a country? I mean, okay, it's congressional hearing in the US about Nigeria. But let's put that aside and speak about home. Do we still have a country? When you say we have a country, what does it stand for? Do we have a government? Is there governance going on in Nigeria? Just the last few days, scores of schoolgirls, or 25 schoolgirls, in Kebbi. We are hearing of a church in Ikechukwu, Kwara State, invaded by bandits and scores of people kidnapped. We are hearing of a school in Niger State with scores of students kidnapped and staff. And then Army General executed in a very dastardly manner by bandits. We are hearing of local governments. There are states like Katsina where maybe up to 20 local governments are in the hands of bandits, to the extent that the government and law enforcement agencies are having meetings with heavily armed bandits in public, in the open, having meeting and giving concessions to bandits, because actually up to 20 local governments are in their charge in that state. And equally, in Zamfara State, a number of local governments are in the hands of bandits. In Borno State, a number of local governments. And you are asking yourself, do we still have a government? Do we have security forces? Is there intelligence? What's going on? I mean, I know you have been making comments in different media houses, but what's going on? We don't know what to expect tomorrow. Do we still have a country? That's my first question. Do we still have a country? Do we have governance going on? Is there security? Is there a social contract between the people and government? Okay. Are people now, what I hear now is that some people in some parts of the country are beginning to establish a social contract with bandits or terrorists, literally signing contract with them for their own protection, paying taxes to those terrorists and so on. Under that circumstance, do we still have a country? That's my question.
To the extent that there's a geographical space called Nigeria, yes, we have a country. If you want to get into that geographical space, the Nigerian government would say, no, this place belongs to us. That's number one. So in theory and political science, we have a country. Do we have governance? That's where there's a bigger challenge, because in a federation, governance covers 3 levels of government: the federal, the state, and the local. Now the level, let's suppose I'm in my local government. Every month, and that happens to in Nigeria for all local governments, maybe every month or every other month, no, every month I get maybe 120 million, 250 million, 310, depending on my state. And that's one local government chairman. And in that local government, I do nothing with that money. And nobody asks me questions. There are councillors and ward chairmen and council chairmen. They do nothing, at least nothing that anybody sees. Therefore, there's no cohesion. As if you like, the flagella of government, of governance, they are not governing anything. They are not intervening in anything.
So they are collecting money every month, but doing next to nothing. They are not repairing roads.
No.
They are not supplying water. There's no pipe of water.
In many of the places, they don't live in the local government.
Oh, the chairmen don't live in the local government.
I mean, if you take most of the occupied states in the north, Some of their local government are living in in Kaduna. Now, the point being that if you have so many, like you mentioned, local governments that are occupied by bandits, are they getting allocations? Yes. Where is it going to? So when you speak is their government, that's different from is their governance. Governance has to do with moderating and managing the rules such that social processes are possible. Such that if you misbehave, somebody can say you shouldn't do that. Such that if you come around to a situation where there is no employment, because there's no activity going on in the community, nobody is tapping palm wine, nobody is farming sugarcane, nobody is bringing out dawa because all the farms are deserted. There is no social life and there's no governance, and to that extent, the greater part of the population, particularly young people, are amenable to radicalization. Come, I'll make sure you eat 3 times a day, and the person has not eaten once in 3 days, he gets you. So what am I leading up to? In principle, using the social framework we use to define political reality, you say, yes, there's government. There's also governance. There are people who drive around in SUVs and the rest of it. The society is disengaging, the populace is disengaging progressively from those holding positions, no longer trust them. Some have sought protection from bandits, as I'm aware of, one of the areas we visited in the northeast. So to that extent, when there's no faith in the Nigerian state, when there's no respect for people in office, you spoke about government. There was an expression you used I intend to query a bit. You know, when I'm in public office, the assumption is that you elected me.
That's the assumption.
Whereas I rigged the elections. First, I paid 2 billion to the party machinery to get the ticket. Then I blinded the community with money. I gave some people 10,000 to vote. Now, I am not in Abuja to represent you. I made financial investments which I've come to recoup. And therefore, the conception of political representation has evaporated completely. Also has a conception of patriotism. Even the concept of Nigerian state, we think of loyalties to our men and women, whether in Abuja or wherever, but not the state. That is why it will not occur to somebody that is doing something wrong, telling Boko Haram the location of the soldiers who have gone to protect them. That's why it will not occur to even a lecturer they shouldn't collect money from students, because collecting money from them or sleeping with them will not make them capable of transferring knowledge or give them a certificate. So we're looking at the security angle. We also have to look at the wider social network and political network, because just like I mentioned lecturers, you are a reverend father. You know that there are only very few of you, anybody looking at will say, this man believes in God. You set up a church as a business enterprise, collect money, build a university or school, no member of the congregation can afford the fee, and then all your preachment is about material prosperity. Whereas your job is to remind people that you're on earth, but the ultimate is after life on earth, that this body is an instrument that will drop. That the real you will be queried by your creator. It's not happening anywhere. Then you look at traditional institutions, it's the wrong people among us that are getting honored. In churches, it's though we know there are questionable means of livelihood that are becoming knights and elders. So the very pillars and foundations for social morality have all collapsed. So is it only in security we expect angels? No, that's the Nigerian reality. That's an elite failure. These are the consequences of a totally violated society.
I'm happy you talk about elite failure. So what you have explained now is elite across the board.
Across. Even, let me add another angle. At the economic level, the banks, every year they post massive profits.
Yes.
In fact, cement now, I don't know the exact price, certainly not less than 10,000. Now, for the last financial year, between 2 cement companies, Bua and Dangote, they posted, 557 billion as profit. Now, if either of them had made just 100 billion, that would be good money per annum. So for them to post 557 profit, it means that cement can be sold for 3,000 naira or less. The country has become, through the conduct of the elite across all levels, a fraud. A living fraud walking on 2 legs and answering good morning when you say good morning to it.
Well,
and the banks are posting profit, massive
in
profit
an economy that is
collapsing.
yes.
And their loans are not going to mortgages. They're not going to businesses or job-creating ventures. They're just collecting rent. They are not creating employment. So put all of this together. Tell me why the security aspect of the nation should then be the only angel in hell. I doubt it.
So
the fire will burn the wings, actually.
So what are we talking about? That's why my question, do we have a country? Do we have a governance? Do we have government? Yes, you say we have government. But do we have governance? Well, not much governance is going on. Do we have, okay, there are people who are driving SUVs around, but do we have leaders? That one too is open to question.
Open to question, but I'll tweak it a bit. You see, if you have a band of robbers, 50 armed robbers, very efficient, very organized, very strategic, somebody is leading them. Leader points to, the direction giver and all of that. Once you're giving the wrong direction, you are a bad leader. So we have bad leaders predominantly at all levels. That's the issue. And so you can't look at somebody who is the one in front, the one exercising authority. No, he's a leader. When people say, oh no, he's an administrator but not a leader, please. He's the one driving a vision.
He's just a bad leader.
A bad leader, he's driving the wrong vision, he's driving the vision that will not lead to development. Therefore, when such people are in the majority, it will be wrong to say we don't have a country. We do have a country of a particular type. A country where the followers have the wrong expectations, where the leaders do the wrong things and get away with it, and where there's no consensus that evil is evil. That is the issue on the table.
Now,
or part of it.
This program is for the promotion of values and virtues of individuals and the society that make for progress, that make for development, that make for sustainability. So, if, as you have listed now, where there is shortfall in those values, the value of truth, the value of justice, the value of the common good, the priority of the common good over individual and sectional goods, the value of justice and fairness. If there is a major shortfall in all this, who are those responsible for instituting and ensuring that these values take root in the society?
And come back.
Yes, they are the elites across the board.
Yeah.
Now, if the crop of elites that we presently have don't in themselves have this value.
In any way, majority of them.
That's why I'm saying. So what is the hope for the future?
The hope is there.
Okay.
There's what you call leadership signaling. You can be any kind of elite you want. You hold position, you're a leader in the manufacturing sector, the other one is a leader in one sector or the other. And I'm a leader at the political level with capacity to exercise the power of coercion, which means I'm in control of the armed forces, the police, and the primary patronage you can get of the highest type in the country. It gives me the capacity and the duty to set the signal. You say you don't like, oh, look, who can touch me? I've been doing scams in the bank. I've been a banker for 30 years. I say, go and arrest that man. Nothing will happen. He'll be arrested. So that there's never been any time in history, and it will not come in future, there is the masses that will sit down and drop a philosophy.
Correct. It is not the masses. No. It is the elite.
It is. But there's also a wrong narrative that is beginning to spring up from all corners. That, when the masses rose, remember the Arab Spring, the country changed. The question I ask them is that place still a country? In all those places, what is their fate? The masses can express volatility in response to unbearable suffering.
But they will not bring about any major
change.
They
will not be the ones to organize themselves and turn into a fighting force. That direction giving must come.
That is why
the danger now is that those who ought to give that direction are making themselves so vulnerable that anyone who is able to rise and harness the bitter passion of the masses will be their leader, because he will carry forth their pain, and whatever resources he lacks will be made available. Because when you're saying, I exercise power of coercion, I can do what I like, it might get to a point that even with the power of coercion, if you choose to shoot, how many bullets do you have if people keep coming?
That is why the book of Proverbs says, where there is no vision, the people do perish.
Yes.
Now, vision is so important. I mean, that chapter 29 of the book of Proverbs deals with leadership. Every aspect. It says that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
Prosper and rejoice, yeah.
But when the wicked rule, the people groan. Now, it is with justice that a society makes progress. Chapter 29 from verse 2.
But see two problems.
Yes.
There's a similar. In the Quran, it tells you that the leader is like a pure spring. So if you have a pure spring in the center of the village and good water is coming out, it's like a spring. Everybody will be. But when that spring is bringing out dirty water, the first people to nearer the spring will be the ones to start getting sick. And that's what we have. Now, on the what did you say? What was the last point I wanted to intervene on?
That when is it the Proverbs that I quoted?
Yes, you see, that is correct. But look at it like this. The dominant value is the value of plunder. Plunder. The concept of justice is justice to my group or to me. So I want an office and I'm not getting it. I come to Edoland and say, look at, they are taking our position. So Edo people will start quarreling with their people, with their neighbors who are from the north or east or wherever. I succeed in getting the position. I don't go back to tell them that I've got it. I don't go back to give them money. So in the clamor for justice today, you now have a nation so disoriented that even the call for truth or genuine justice, there are many groups that will tell you to suspend it until they get what they are looking for.
In the crooked manner.
So the crookedness is being further driven. The Americans will tell you, if you find yourself in a hole, please stop digging. We're in a hole. Everybody is procuring even better digging.
We are digging further
to the bottom of the earth.
You mentioned justice. We have such a crooked concept of justice that it is just about me or my group or my people, my group or my people. So we are back to what people discuss about. Okay, what's the difference between a country and a nation?
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
You see, I don't bother with those distinctions, frankly. Some of it is academic, but it is true to speak of a nation as a group of people sharing the same values,
sharing certain values,
committed to some certain things. That the concept of patriotism is what is in the interest of our nation and that will benefit everybody.
Yes.
But you're in a situation now where the concept of patriotism is understood in terms of regime loyalty. And it's not about this government. During the military era, you're unpatriotic if you say they were doing something wrong. So patriotism has become so bastardized that pledging loyalty or appearing nice in order to be rewarded by government is evidence of loyalty, of patriotism. In a context like that, you cannot have genuine patriots. Genuine patriots are often the ones then stigmatized by the state. Now, bringing it to the
They are the ones who dare to say, no, things should not be like this.
Yes. Bringing it to the present, you look around you and you ask, how much of the problems we have in local communities are traceable to policy issues? None. How many of them are because we don't have laws to contain them? Not one. We have enough laws for all of this.
And how many of the conflicts among our politicians are on account of disagreement over policies, over development issues?
No, they are. They are primarily disagreements over development issues and policy issues. The sharing formula.
Oh, is that what
you mean? When you loot.
Is that what you mean?
Oh, yes. And then the sharing formula, we have an understanding. That's a policy.
So the understanding we had about how to share the loot.
The loot. Stolen goods.
And now you are beginning to cheat me.
Violate it. What is it? It's not the understanding. So the conversation then does not include the masses, does not include national development. That's why I can go and award a contract, knowing that that contract has nothing to do with the people, but I will show it and they will celebrate it as a dividend of democracy without asking themselves, do we need this? You want to do legacy project for your people. It's a good idea. So I go and ask them to donate land. I want to do a legacy project, and they give me the land. And then I build a statue, a very big statue of a woman breastfeeding a child. And it's all fenced, lit up, wired so that there will be light on it in the night. And people will come and I'll cut it as my legacy project as their senator. Everybody is so happy. This is what the federal government has done for us. You see, the people no longer know what they need. Ask them. Now, in that place, in the night, the entire community doesn't have light.
It's in darkness.
Yes, but there's a small generator lighting up the legacy. So you see that stupidity has become a form of governance. They don't ask themselves, okay, this is a palm wine tapping community. It costs 47 million to build this thing. There's this small motorized thing. If you clasp it around a palm tree, it will take you up. You finish and come down. Let's suppose that each of them costs 1.5 million. How many of it can you buy with 47 million? Even if it's only 10, you give it to them.
And they are renting it and using it.
Yes, rotating. So the man who should spend 6 hours in the palm area spends 2 hours and does 18 palm trees, whereas in 6 hours he's able to do 4 or 5. It doesn't occur to you that that's development. That shining light is development is coming to our village, you know. There's light now, there's a statue. So the people need leaders, the kind of leaders Plato was speaking of, who will know what they need and save them from what they want.
You did mention stupidity. You recall the Italian guy who wrote on the laws of stupidity. And I see the evolution of our
stupidity?
Of the evolution of stupidity in Nigeria. Yes. And then when you consider the kind of people who are involved in the fight for independence and the first generation of leaders we had, and how we have evolved.
Evolved negatively.
Yes. So it means we have become stupider and stupider over the years. And the quality of leadership we have had has
declined,
declined over the years. And, you know, I think about, once again, I think about the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, which reflected on the second book of Kings, and it's in chapter 47 of Ecclesiasticus, and say, look, Solomon rested with his ancestors, and there arose one of his sons, the stupidest of the children of Israel. That's how he put it. The stupidest of the children of Israel, who multiplied evil upon evil, to the extent that the expression "to your tents, O Israel,"
became inevitable. Yeah.
Inevitable, because of the stupidity that became the norm. Really. The norm in his whatever.
But see, in that stupidity, there was still somebody sane enough to say, remember the exact words, "To your tents, O Israel, blah blah blah, for there is no benefit or inheritance to be found in the son of David."
David, yes, correct. To your tents, O Israel, because there is no inheritance, nothing to be found. Yes. So it is to say we are at that point now. When you listen to people across the country, it's like to your tents, O Israel. I mean, listen to the Yoruba person, listen to the Igbo person, listen to the Shekiri person, the Hausa person, the Fulani person. It is now to your we're not speaking one language.
I agree, but my concern is for the people not to be idolized. You see, to your tents, O Israel, I agree. But what is the demand of each group? I want my own. In that, there's a demobilization from the concept of a federation.
That's what I'm saying. That's precisely what I'm saying.
And they are the ones electing the bad leaders. So the issue, going back to, you remember you hinted at our earlier leaders. Those were leaders. They knew that the leader is like a parent whose business is to focus on the good of the child, not his own comfort. Who knows that this child, if left to himself, he will ruin himself. I will address his needs. I'll make sure he goes to school even.
Which is why in the West, Awolowo made education compulsory and pursued children into the farms to ensure that they were recruited into the schools.
And that's also why Ahmadu Bello personally would go to girls' schools to promote education. There are pictures of it. That's why all the investments they made in the Northern Nigeria Corporation, even the university, ABU was a special project for them, among all of that. Imagine that somebody like Ahmadu Bello is alive today. Or, in fact, let's go south.
No. If he
somebody like Zeke,
Alpara.
No, yes, all those. But I just want to imagine somebody like Awolowo is alive. And you're saying that herdsmen are encroaching on the state. I don't speak Yoruba, but at least know this. And you're the governor. I know this one. I've had it. Tani Babe.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your what do you call him? Samad Bello will ask you the same thing. Your governor. Your place, the place being run by a vote. Are you and you say you are a man? You should be ashamed of yourself. This is not the kind of report you make public. That's a space given under your care.
You're supposed to
The policeman is not reporting to me. Shut your mouth. How have you managed the relationship with him such that he can't obey you? Is he himself bullets won't kill him? You no longer have men of substance. You have administrators who do not understand the meaning of development because they are expending on personal
one governor came out and said, oh, we know the bandits, we know their families, we know where they are, but then we can't act. So why don't you act? The journalist says. He said that is the $1 million question.
That brings us to the suspicion, which for some people is a certainty. There's complicity, the nature of which we do not know. You hear of a bandit arrested, the next thing is out. You hear of whole village is wiped out, nothing happens. You're looking around, you see a young man of 17 or 18 following some cattle, and he's wielding an AK-47, a military assault rifle. And you saw the pastor who was arrested and all of that for bringing up one in his church. You then ask, what is the rule for arms holding in Nigeria? It depends on
I think there are two categories of laws for
certainly, and we've seen it. So with that, how then do you speak of patriotism?
It's a very
when areas are being overrun, when there's the suspicion and general perception that a certain section of the country or people from a certain section of the country are free to do whatever they like and get.
And that there is collusion.
Not only collusion, but endorsement and reinforcement. Look at the kidnap of yesterday. What did the bandits say? Is a retaliation for the bombing of the area by Nigerian Air Force? Then Katsina was the first to sign an agreement with bandits under Masari. And we saw newspaper headlines and front pages the picture. Masari was standing, His Excellency the Governor, next to him the police commissioner. Next to him was the leader of the bandits with an AK-47. Even the policeman was not armed. Now, that was him. A few months later, what happened? The thing collapsed.
Oh yes, it will collapse.
What led to the collapse? There were other disagreements. They were not being paid what they asked for. But on one occasion, when these bandits now struck again and they asked them about what, they said yes, that Masari dared them, so they needed to show him who was in charge. That's the government. We still have the same thing going on.
On this note, we'll bring this segment of the discussion to an end. I have been speaking with Professor Okey Ikechukwu, Executive Director, Development Specs Academy, Public Affairs Analyst. We have been discussing what's going on with Nigeria. Do we have a country? He says we have a country. But do we have governance? He says that's where there is question, serious question mark. We need to continue this discussion because I think we are in trouble in this country, and all hands must be on deck. All of us must be engaged in serious reflection as to where do we go from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.